Hey, if you're going on a spring break trip anytime soon, and even if you're not, it's important to make sure you're caring for your skin, especially if you're outside and sunny, which is going to be happening here soon, hopefully. And joining us from Northwestern Hospital is dermatologist Dr. Samantha Conrad to talk a little more about sun protection. Welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
You know, I have to say, I try to instill in my girls all the time, don't go outside without any SPF. And a lot of makeup that's being made now already has it in there, but you think we should even go one step further, right?
Yeah, the makeups and the built-in sunscreens and the moisturizers are not quite as effective as the true sunscreen. So adding that extra layer every day makes a big difference.
Okay, so so we're going to start with the most basic. So people don't really know where to turn, you know, what SPF is good, what's actually realistic, what's not. So how do you start?
I mean, I think a lot of it is hype. So what I usually tell my patients is go for a 30 or more. Anything over a 50 is kind of getting into the zone where it's not really
okay.
It's not really giving you any significant added benefit. So pick a 30 to 50 that you like.
Okay.
I tell my patients that my favorite sunscreen for them is the sunscreen that they'll use.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, okay. And you've brought a few things. You said these are some of the favorites of your patients, right? Where should we start?
They are. I like to kind of break the sunscreens down into the chemical and the physical sunscreens.
Okay.
And what that means in a simple sense is the chemical sunscreens have their active ingredients are chemical based. So a common example of that is this one here. A lot of the sprays, which are not my favorites, have chemical ingredients in them. These work very well. They tend to be a little bit lighter, a little more transparent. Okay. This one is a mix of a chemical and a physical, but this is definitely one of my favorites. People like it. It doesn't smell sunscreeny. It's not super goopy.
Okay.
So this is an example of a mixed.
I have a question for you, because I'm noticing right off the bat, this says SPF 46. And you were just saying maybe like over 30s.
And they get these numbers by kind of combining the active ingredients and then seeing how much protection more than what you'd have if you didn't have any sunscreen on. Okay. That's where that number comes from. Okay. But again, I don't pay as much attention to that.
As long as it has at least 30, right?
Right.
And this is going on before I do anything. After I wash my face and cleansed it, I'm going to put this on, right?
That's right. This goes under makeup. With anything with a chemical-based sunscreen, we say to wait 30 minutes. The way that the chemical-based sunscreens are working is they need to intercalate into the skin in order to be effective. Oh, interesting. The physical-based sunscreens, which are generally zinc and titanium-based, so these are both examples of physicals where their active ingredients are minerals or physicals. Okay. Those are going to cause the sun to bounce off those minerals, and so that's how they're offering protection. So those can be put on, and they're going to offer protection immediately.
And then do I need to worry about giving that some time to settle in as I do the chemical?
No,
I don't. Okay. Okay.
No. So,
is there one that's better than another? What do I want? Physical or chemical?
Again, if I'm going to pick the one you're going to use, because if I recommend physical, but you're not going to use it, I prefer the physical blockers.
And why is that?
It's less chemical. Okay. So anything we put on our skin is going to get absorbed into our skin. Right. And so it's less overall chemical into the body. Okay. So if you're looking at something that you're using every day over years or on big surface areas, I tend to go more with the physical sunscreens. And they're also a little bit safer for kids. So a lot of the kids-based sunscreens, as long as you're going with a physical, you're probably going to be okay.
And all of these things right here, these are things I'm putting on my face. Am I also putting some on my body too for when I'm out?
Yeah, I mean, any sunscreen can really be used face or body. A lot of times the facial sunscreens are a little bit more elegant. They can be a little bit more expensive. Okay. But yes, they can both be used anywhere.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the others. You brought some vitamin C. Why is that important?
So what we know about vitamin C is it's a strong antioxidant, meaning that when sun hits the skin, we get something called free radical damage, which can promote both sun damage and skin cancer. So what an antioxidant does is it interferes with that free radical damage. And we know that scientifically, it's very hard to get it in an effective topical ingredient. And so this is one of my favorites. You can see the brown bottle that protects the vitamin C from oxidizing. This is 4 to 5 drops every morning. You can use it under sunscreen. It's watery, so it goes right into the skin. But with this, we're getting some added boost from our sunscreen. So I like this one in the morning.
And does it help with the wrinkles, too?
Well, it helps
That's a whole nother story.
over many, many decades.
Okay.
It can help.
Okay. Now let's talk about melanoma and sunscreen, because that is something we need to be very aware of. Everybody likes to get those tans. This is where the sunscreens are a must, and we have some pictures of melanoma. How can you tell, and kind of explain to me what's considered a normal mole and when you should be concerned?
Sure. These are guidelines so that if people see some of these things, it's a good idea to go in and see their doctor. We do A, B, C, D, E because it's very easy to remember. And again, these are guidelines. Asymmetry is A, so especially if one side of the mole starts growing in an unregulated way.
Okay.
If you looked at one half compared to the other, you would see some asymmetry. Border is that the edges tend to change over time. With a normal mole, usually the edges don't grow.
Okay.
Color is, it's not so much dark or light, it's more about a variation in color. If you have a mole that starts developing different colors within it. D is diameter. That means that the overall size is over about 6 millimeters. That's my least favorite because there are many big moles. It's more about gradually changing. So
Can we get that graphic up one more time too, so we can go over the last few real quick?
And then E is evolution, which is the most important of all of them. It means that something is changing.
Okay.
And that, I think, is the biggest, most helpful letter of them all.
Okay. Great. And then if you finally have one tip for people when it comes to taking care of our skin, not only on vacation, but just year-round, what would that be?
I think it's don't just rely on your sunscreens. You've got to use safe habits. You've got to use protective clothing, hats, and be outside ideally at times when the sun is not beating down on you, because these things are not effective enough to prevent damage from
Good
that.
to know. So just be smart about it.
Yeah.
Which is hard, because living in Chicago when the sun is out, you want to be out every minute, right? But absolutely some great tips. Thank you so much for coming in. Something I think we can all learn from.